Hey, good to see you. Thanks for coming. This is another episode of Wireframe brought to you by Design Systems House. I'm your host, Donnie D'Amato, and today we're going to be talking about empowering users. Should be a little bit of a quick episode today. It is coming up on the tail end of the holiday season, so lots of things to do, and I have to run some errands directly after the show. But I did want to talk about this. While it will be quick, it is also really important and something that I'm going to be focusing on for next year, for 2026. There's definitely a piece of here that is huge that I want to talk about. And what I'm talking about specifically is there is a huge change happening when it comes to user interface design and user experience design. We're seeing it in our own industry where the way that we used to design things through moving pixels around is changing, has changed, right? Where we are actually instead asking AI to do a lot of the work for us, okay? And there's two major ways how these things are changing. One of those ways was actually introduced almost 2 years ago, and it was this thing. I'm actually going to unplug it here. Come here. It's this. It's the Rabbit R1. Yes, I have one. I actually was an early adopter for one of the first 100,000, whatever the heck it is, folks that that received one because it was fairly inexpensive and the color's cute, whatever. But admittedly, the most important thing for me was what it claimed it was going to be able to do. Now, has it actually lived up to those claims? Maybe not. But the important thing is that the claim was that we could use this device to effectively remove UI from our day-to-day lives. Okay? So the way that they were explaining this was that you would be able to call for a cab to go to the airport. Now, what you would normally do in the year 2025 here is that you would go onto Uber or Lyft or some other rideshare program and put in a whole bunch of information, your credit card information, things about location and permissions for that kind of stuff. All these different decisions that you need to make just to get a car to arrive at your location to take you to the airport. Okay? Someone, of course, has designed all of that stuff inside of Uber or Lyft or these rideshare apps, right, for it to be the best experience. But what is the best experience? I'm confident that many people who have used rideshare apps are probably a little bit annoyed about the amount of decisions that need to be made or signups that need to be remembered or just lots of friction that occurs just to get a car to your location, right? So imagine if all of that was gone. Imagine that you could pick up the device and basically say where you want it to go. And internally, the device would then do all of the button pressing and navigating for you to finally get you the car that you're looking for. And all you need to do is confirm that choice, right? There's something interesting about that. There's lots to discuss about that, like what if it gives you the wrong choice, or what if I want to see my options? Yeah, sure. All that stuff is things that could be worked out down the line. But ultimately, the amount of noise that happens with our user interfaces today is significant. And what this device claimed it was going to be able to do was to make everything peaceful again, make it quiet, right? In some ways, it would even kind of bring you back to what it used to be, because I remember when I used to phone for a taxi to come to my place, to pick me up, to take me where I had to go, right? That's a similar kind of experience that we're talking about here, right? You would phone up the cab service, you would tell them where you are and where you're going, and they would give you a quote about how much that was. Could you call around for other quotes? Sure. Could you call around for better cars, better service? Yes, of course. But in a pinch, right, you're not doing the call around. You're just making the phone call, whatever it is, and you take the service. I mean, in New York City, it's even more frictionless, right? Because now you're just hailing a cab, right, and just saying where you're going, and then you pay at the end, right? You even have the tap to pay stuff that they have these days. So removing all of the confusing UI is really a great thing. And I find that we end up putting more and more confusing UI onto things, especially when we're not sure what to do next. So this is one of those things that I think is really important and really key in terms of thinking about what the next steps of user interfaces are, right? Now, granted, not all experiences can be removed of their UI, right? There's definitely other things out there, tasks and other exercises that we would need to perform that require some UI, right? I mean, even like planning a trip, as an example, you need to have some UI in there to figure out, where you're going and things that are around there, and just have a little bit more comfort in terms of planning that trip, right? Looking at a calendar, that kind of stuff. So for that kind of stuff, there's other things that are coming about. And I want to bring some of those things up. Let's see here. Oop. Let's bring it to the computer here. So one of the things that was released recently was something by Google called Disco. I'm going to bring it up on the computer here. Here. Okay. So Google Labs has made something called Disco. And if you haven't heard of this yet, surprise, this is effectively kind of a new browser. And here's what it looks like on this video here. I don't think I'm going to play the video. I just want to kind of outline some things that are happening in the video, but or at least on the UI that you're seeing here, because you're seeing an experience that has these tabs that are on the top here, right? Different things that we're looking at. You do have this UI that's here, but the interesting thing about this UI is that this is completely generated. Okay, this was generated by Disco, by AI, from this chat window that's sitting over here. Okay, and in this experience, if you watch the video, you could see that they're basically trying to plan this trip. And planning this trip required them to kind of see the location, see where things are on the map, see the dates that they're going to be going, see the weather for those dates, right? So all of this stuff is being generated by the needs of the user at the time, okay? And in my opinion, this is what I've been asking for a long time, okay? One of the things that I always wanted to have, and this is definitely a security and privacy situation that needs to be thought out here, but what I've always wanted to have is some experience, some interface that brings all my finances together. And there are interfaces that are like that. Origin is actually one of them that does that, and we've been playing with that a little bit inside the house. But it doesn't go the full mile about what I would like to have, which is seeing all of my finances, seeing all my bills specifically, and then seeing my accounts where I can go ahead and pay right there, right? Saying like, okay, here's my, I don't know, Wells Fargo card, right? And I need to pay that off. So here's my Apple Bank account, and I can just go ahead and say, okay, take the money from there, put it there, pay off the credit card bill, right? And doing that in that one interface, because I have several accounts, right? Personal, business. My wife has accounts, things like that. So we need to manage these accounts, this money all over the place, and it's hard to maintain. Look at the bank account, look at the credit card, go back and forth, make sure that you have the right funds here, move funds over there. Right? It would be great to do all of that in one place in the context of finance, right? So what they're displaying here on the webpage for Disco is the same kind of idea, right? I'm in the context of making this trip, this vacation for my family, and I want, places that I might want to go and see them on the map, right? This would be a whole bunch of things that normally you would painstakingly put together, potentially using Google, and then share out, right? But imagine just being able to, I don't know, just write or speak, right? And do this and make this happen. I think this is a huge win, okay? Now, one last thing that I do want to talk about in this whole large ecosystem is another thing that is involved by Google, which is called A2UI. And here this is over here. A2UI, it says right here, is a protocol for agent-driven interfaces. And there's a lot of text in here, but I think the one thing that I want to really bring up is this sentence right here. It says, it's like having agents speak a universal UI language. Okay. It's interesting about how much we, as a practice, want to give AI all of these resources that we never actually give ourselves, right? Imagine a universal UI language, right? Where if we need to create a button for something, there is a agreed upon definition for what a button is supposed to be. Hold on a second, that sounds like a design system. Yes, it does. The problem when it comes to the way that we think about design systems right now is that everyone has an opinion about what a button's supposed to be, right? It's supposed to have a blue button background color, and it's supposed to have rounded corners, and it's supposed to have a cursor pointer instead of a default arrow. Like, there's lots of opinions that come in there, some of which are just purely cosmetic, and some of those being functional, and everything in between. So that means that it makes it so much harder with all these opinions coming around to figure out specifically what a button is supposed to mean. But what this sounds like it's doing, and I unfortunately haven't read through all of this because I've been busy, but I really do believe that there is something here that is very interesting for generative UI overall, right? Because again, what this is saying is this is sounds like a universal component definition for agents specifically, but why is it just agents? It could be for everyone, right? And again, this is what it sounds like. I don't know if this is completely accurate about what it's providing here, but I'm just reading off of this whole idea of it's like having agents speak a universal UI language, okay? Because these are agents, they're talking mostly in code, they're not talking visuals, right? So there's something here that I would like to put a lot more time and effort in, personally, once I have some time and effort to put into this, because I think there's something here, right? For someone like me who is very in tune to the next wave of what design is meant to be, especially as a user of products and as a person who's frustrated about bad design and sees bad design in their own apps and in working with other folks that are having difficulty, conveying what they're trying to do. Taking out all of the opinion, right? Like I just said with the rabbit, right? The opinion about what the UI is supposed to look like, taking that out and making it so that a user can achieve their goals quickly and effectively, I think is huge. In a similar way, removing potentially the opinions about what a, UI is supposed to look, not necessarily look like, but behave like. I think that's what we're getting here is. I think that's huge because what I think is happening here is that language that A2UI is considering, you can use that language to create your own button, right? The cosmetics and things like that. But the underlying structure, it's almost like HTML, right? I mean, when we're talking about the HTML, we're talking about the angle brackets and the word button inside. That's a button. As much as we see div role button everywhere, largely we see the angle brackets and button, right? So this is potentially taking it a step further in terms of making it a more universal way of doing this stuff, of making UIs. Again, this is specifically for agents, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be. I really think instead of it being A2UI, this could be E2UI, right? Everything to UI, right? Or everyone to UI, something of that nature. I think this doesn't necessarily need to be strictly for agents. I think there's something larger here. But let me know what you think. I think there's, again, a lot of new things that are coming very quickly. The A2UI has been in some of the news for LinkedIn and other places for the last week or so, and it was important for me to just raise it here too, just to stay relevant, as much as I didn't have the opportunity to actually dive into the stuff. But ultimately, I think it's very important. But anyway, that's our show for today. Thank you so much for watching. Before you go, help the show out by smashing the like and subscribe button to get notified the next time we go live. And feel free to continue the conversation at the official Design Systems House Discord by visiting discord.ds.house. Play nice in those comments, and I'll see you on the internet. Bye.